yes, I am a former Yemzi Girl. So lovely, lovely to meet you, Ife. I'm going to be basically taking over the Yemzi Girl platform.
Okay.
So yeah, just going to be interviewing you, wanting to find out more about what it is that you do and get inspired.
Cool. That sounds great.
Perfect. So maybe let's start off with you introducing yourself. So tell us about what it is that you do, all the ins and outs.
Okay, cool. So I'm Ife. I'm 28 years old. I'm an accountant. I qualified 2 years ago, so that's super good. I'm really happy because the exams were long. I work at a record company called Universal Music, which is great because I love music. So I always knew that I wanted to go into that industry. And like from day one, I was like, I'm definitely going to go into it. I love to listen to everything. I actually don't have a particular genre, so that was my favorite thing. This is a good question. I find these questions quite difficult, even doing appraisals at work. Like, you know, when they say, tell me about yourself, I'm always like, who am I? But I guess on maybe a lower level, I'm Nigerian, but I live in the UK. I've lived here for a long time. So I'm British Nigerian, maybe I'd say. That's a nice combo, I think. I'm dual nationality. I'm 5'4", so I have a step ladder in my kitchen, so I can reach a lot of things. So yeah, and okay, this is one thing I've realized. If I was to describe myself as a household item, I would say that I'm a candle. And that sounds weird, but I finally settled on something. I think I'd say a candle because I love to be in a hot, I like warmth. I want to be in a hot country all the time. I don't like being cold. The heater has to be on. And I guess if sometimes, I mean, somebody said to me once, oh, so if I get too close, will I get burnt? And I said, possibly, you know, in the wrong way. But yeah, I'd say a candle if I was going to be like a household item.
Wow, that's so creative. A candle. You know, I probably, after hearing you say that, I would have thought, oh, you said you're a candle because, you know, you're like the light of everybody's life. But I'm very corny. So
oh no, that one's sweet.
I do prefer your reasoning. Your reasoning is much, much better. But oh my gosh, so you're an accountant and you also work for Universal. I mean, that's just amazing. What is it that you do exactly at Universal? Are you A&R? Are you an artist yourself?
Oh, no, I wish I was an artist. I've tried singing. I definitely cannot sing. But I'm basically, I guess, how do I describe it? I'd say I work in the international side of Universal Music. So they have international and then they have the rest of the world. Rest of the world is, funnily enough, it's like the UK, all the other countries. But international is America, Canada. So I primarily, I fall under international, but I focus on the whole world, if I'm being honest with you. So when they want to pay an advance to an artist, I get the list of all the advances that are going to be paid out, and I make sure like it's going to the right country, the right account. I sort of make sure it's booked correctly in the financial statements. And then when they're reporting their quarterly, so all the labels basically report to me. So all the labels from all over the world report to me and the team that I work with, not just me, so that can go from Australia to Nigeria, which is a new one, but a really fun one actually to look at, and to the more established labels like EMI in the UK or maybe Ireland in the US. So basically all the labels report into us, and then we take that financial data they've done and report it to our parent company who are in Paris.
Okay, so that again is very, very interesting. And do you know what? It's great that I'm speaking with you because I've always been so intrigued about the music industry. So is Universal, please correct me if I'm wrong, is Universal like the umbrella? And then you have like, this is going to sound so cliche, but you have something like a Young Money underneath Universal.
Yeah.
Is that how it works, sort of?
Yeah, so basically you have Universal at the top, and then all the labels would fall, let's go EMI, Virgin EMI, they fall under Universal. So we have so many different labels. There's small ones, there's independent ones, there's big ones. There's like, for example, let's say Def Jam, that would be a label that's under Universal. So there's so many labels all over. Yeah. And then there's some countries, like let's say a tiny country like Turkey, they might not have a label. So they just have their own like mini Universal in Turkey sort of thing. So labels such as Young Money would fall. I can't remember if they're one of ours. I don't feel like they are. Oh, I feel like I've seen it somewhere in some spreadsheet, but I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, so then Virgin EMI would own different artists. They'll have maybe Taylor Swift and, you know, Justin Bieber. And then they have their like roster of artists. So there is still competition. It's funny because we're all Universal, but between Universal, there is like a little bit of competition, I guess, because each label can be so different. Like you could have a rock and roll or a pop or like an indie one. So there are still like differences between the labels sort of thing.
Nice. Wow. And so when you say you deal with the advances, so, you know, allocating the different advances to the different artists, do you also take, I guess, a bit of responsibility, or is it one of your duties to also explain to these artists like how an advance works, you know, what it goes to pay for, the costs and the overheads, and just like money management? Because do you find like when you watch some of these interviews online, like, I don't know, The Breakfast Club, or you're reading all these different music magazines and blogs, sometimes you hear these artists talking about, you know, not really having the best deal when they first started out, not realizing the difference between, you know, this is an advance, it's not actually just money from the sky. Like this advance goes to pay for all the touring and the team and the equipment. So I guess the question I'm asking you is, you know, because I'm still very intrigued, it's just like, is a part of your role also explaining to these artists, or maybe your team has to explain to these artists how an advance actually works?
Okay, so I do explain, but I don't explain to the artist. So the artist, I guess the way it would work is, let's pick one, let's say Justin Bieber, he would have his own like accounting team, his own personal team. And I guess it's up to them to explain it to him personally. But then his personal accounting team would be the ones to go to the label and tell them the expenses or how much the tour bus is going to cost, and say to the label, hey guys, we're going on this tour, this is how much we need. And so the label would pay his accounting team and they would sort that out. So I guess he's quite a big star, but then when you go to a smaller level star, maybe we'd get more involvement and maybe offer somebody in the label to help them out with that. So it all depends on the scale, I guess. But when you mentioned, I think you touched a little bit on, you know, the different deals that people get at the start and not knowing that, is it a good deal? Is it an advance? Like, what does it go towards? That's something that we've like comes up a lot. Like, I think it's better now. People are clearer, and maybe the industry is maybe trying to be clearer, because I guess maybe they've decided that they can't get away with that, with not being very clear. And also artists know to now come in with maybe a lawyer by their side, or just somebody who can read this data even better, sort of thing, and not just sign anything. I mean, these days, I have to be honest, maybe 20 years ago, people were just signing things, you know, they were just signing mortgages or car rentals without thinking. But nowadays, we all know, it'll be quite shocking to see someone who doesn't know to read before they sign, sort of thing, if you get what I mean. But but yeah, it's a funny like concept. So if anything, I would explain that I have to take all that financial data and all the advances, all the I find out, maybe, let me think of something else. Or if there's a tour going on and they've made loads of money from the tour, I take all that financial data and I report it to like execs and directors. So I guess to answer your question, I'm going the other way. Instead of explaining it down to the artist, I'm explaining it up to the executives, because we're sort of, Universal's owned by another parent company, so we sort of answer to them a little bit. So I guess, unfortunately, I don't get a lot of interaction with the artists, but they're always in the list, so that's always interesting. You know, you can always say hi to them, apparently, but with discretion. You're meant to act professional. I don't know what that means, but each to their own.
Yeah. So, okay, who's one artist that you've happened to be in a lift with and you just thought, oh my gosh, I just want to reach out and touch you? Have you ever had like a fan moment when you were in the lift with an artist?
Yeah. But this one wasn't an artist. This one was actually a really like it was a person. So she's a radio DJ. I think her name is Dotun. Have
Oh,
you heard
nice.
of her?
I
You
haven't.
know
Is she American or based in the UK?
she's based in the UK. I think she's with BBC, and she's like, I don't know, she's just doing quite well in the music industry. Well, not music, but in that, like, in the industry sort of thing. And she was in the lift, and I find what some of the things she says really funny and really interesting. And I was like, I had like a panini or something from the cafe. She was in there. And I really wanted to say something to her and say, like, look, I find you really interesting. I love what you say online. Like, but I just like, I don't know, I just like froze. And it's funny because I'm not really a free person, but it was like that with that guy from X Factor, not Simon Cowell, the other one, right at the end. He's Irish.
Louis Walsh.
Yeah, he was there as well. And if I'm being honest, he was actually more handsome in person than he is on screen.
Really? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and like a little bit taller as well.
Oh,
and I was
wow.
like, oh my gosh, Louis, hey.
Oh, brilliant. Oh my God, that's so amazing. Oh, gosh.
Mm.
Wow. Okay. So, you know what? You must have been to countless concerts. Whose set out of all of the concerts that you've been to, you know, were you the most impressed by?
Okay, I'm going to go with Lionel Ritchie. And he's
That's a good
still
one.
my favorite still today. He's just, he knows how to appeal to all generations. So in the crowd, there were young people, there were people his age, there were like the whole scale was there. And he knew exactly what to say to every age range to get them like going. Do you know what I mean? Like he just knew what he was doing. His stage rock was fantastic. And for someone that age, I'm not sure, I think he's maybe almost 70, I'm guessing. Like he was like agile, up and down, jumping. Like his songs were just, he was hitting the notes and just giving you a party. You know, I think one of his songs is All Night Long. Like I thought I could say it all. Everyone was dancing, like the whole room. This was at the O2 Arena, and like everyone was on their feet, just dancing, go for it. And yeah, he knew what he was doing. And sometimes I love these new artists, and it's fantastic. They're great. But sometimes the legends know exactly what they're doing. I think practice makes perfect. I mean, not that the new ones won't get there. They'll get there one day. But there's just something about the legends when they do their job. It's like, you know, this is, I don't know how to describe it, what a word would be, but they're just so well rehearsed. It's almost, you don't even think they've rehearsed because it's like, it's natural to them. They're just on there doing exactly, you get your money's worth with them, is what I would say, basically.
I completely agree. I mean, everything you said is how I feel about, you know, for example, Beyonce. I've seen her in concert and that woman is just, she's just, I don't even want to say perfect because obviously no one's perfect, but I get what you mean when you were talking about Lionel Richie. Like it feels like she hasn't even rehearsed. Like it's just so natural. Yeah. It's captivating. It's just, you can tell it's something that's in her blood. And when you get those types of performances, when you get those type of performances from these different artists, it's just mesmerizing, and it's something you will never forget. So I completely feel you.
Where did you see Beyonce?
Where did I see Beyonce? I saw her, oh my gosh, funny story. So I saw her in the O2 and the O2 Arena, but the tickets, you will never believe this, the tickets were free.
What?
And we had, yes, 2 tickets, and we had really good seats. I went with my sister. She entered like some sort of, I don't know, chewing gum competition, and it was just a lucky draw. Yeah, and she got picked, and it was 2 free tickets to go and see Beyonce. This is when she was performing that I Am Sasha Fierce tour.
Yeah,
I feel like that was her turning point. That's when we really got to see the queen that she is. So yeah, that's when I saw her in person, and I said, this woman right here she's a beast. She is a force to be reckoned with.
I've seen her at the Wembley Arena, but I'm quite jealous that you saw her at O2. O2 is my preferred arena because I find it more intimate and a lot more, you feel closer to the artist. But at Wembley, I saw her on her own and with her husband, Jay-Z. So it was like, it was just almost too big. I think I'd rather when I saw her.
Was it on the Run tour that you saw them on?
Yeah, I saw that one. That one was good. Better than her first, I can't remember the first one. I went with my mum the first time, and I think she was overwhelmed because after she was like, Ife, this is so fun, but I feel like I'm going to sit down. But she's great as well. Yeah. Oh.
Brilliant. So you've also got a podcast.
I
The
do.
Black Ladder.
Yes.
Can you tell us a bit about your podcast? I'm very, very intrigued. You're a woman of, like, honestly, a jack of all trades. You've got so much going on. Please tell us about this podcast.
Sure. I'm so excited about this podcast. I'm a bit nervous, but also like I'm also, I feel like I'm like tripping over my own feet because I'm just in a hurry to like get some good stuff out of the podcast. So I keep trying to say to myself, you know, make sure you plan this and do this properly. But so it's basically a podcast that's like celebrating the achievements of Black individuals, the achievements they've made in their careers, basically. And for me, last Black History Month in October 2019, I went, it was at Salesforce Tower, which is a really cool company actually, but he was on the Lola Taylor case.
Oh, wow.
And he had so much to say. Okay. I know, and he's like in his 60s almost. Then I met this other woman, and she's head of diversity in HSBC Bank. Another great lady, so much information to give, so many stories to tell. I just was basically going to these talks, hearing amazing things, and I thought, oh my goodness, why is this not somewhere? Like, how can I have access to this all the time and not just October every year? Like, I want this. I want my little cousin, she's 15, I want her to be able to like hear these interviews or hear these stories all the time. Like, she has to have access to this. It can't just be, you know, if my friend invites me, my friend who works here invites me and I know somebody or I'm in the area, it can't just be me who's hearing these things. So I sort of decided, okay, I'm going to start a podcast. Like, for a while now, I've been wanting to start a podcast, but I knew that it had to be something that was meaningful because I'm somebody who's a little bit, not flaky, but if I'm not passionate about something, I can be a bit wishy-washy with it. So it has to be meaningful to me before I can get into it, because if not, I could quit and have to be useful to somebody. And so I guess my end goal is that even if it's just one person who says to me, I listened to an episode, I heard this, you know, this forensic scientist spoke about something, I heard what he said, I applied for a role in this, or I chose a degree in this, and I'm so pleased. If one person says that to me after listening to an episode, then I'm like, I'm happy. I think the podcast has achieved what it's meant to do. I basically want every Black person to know that there's no role in the world that you cannot do. And I want to find a Black person in every single role. I just want to interview them. I want them to have like a platform to give advice and to like let other people know how they climb the career ladder or how they climb their Black career ladder.
Yeah, that is amazing. We need that. It's 2020 vision. I think that it just sounds brilliant. That sounds so amazing. And do you know what? Hearing you speak, I can kind of even sense and gauge that this podcast will also be very therapeutic for you, like listening to all of these influential people. Like, that's amazing. You know? That's just perfect.
Yeah.
Which actually leads me on to my next, or role models, plural, or a mentor, someone who you talk to and go to get them jewels.
So this is something I really need to work on this year. I don't have an official mentor, and I know a few of my friends do, and they said to me, actually, you need to have a mentor, especially, I think it was this article I saw somewhere that just said if you don't have a mentor in this day and age, it's not good. Like, it's something you should actively work on. And so I'm definitely looking for one. I need to get into that properly. But I guess if I say role model, I'm a talker. I love talking. If I have issues, I'm going to talk about it 20,000 times. I want to go over it. I want everyone to know what's going on and help with it. It's so like intense for me. But I would say at the moment, my role model is probably my mother. I think she's so smart. Like, I always say to her, you have answers to everything. How is this? But I think for her, she says, you know what, being Nigerian for her, she's just quick. And I think that's just it. She's different to me. we always say we love each other a lot. If we were in school together, would we be friends? Probably not. We're very different, but I think that's probably why she's my role model, because she's just the opposite of me, and like, she gives me the best advice. She always says to me, you know, I have 2 children. I'm only as happy as the saddest one. So let's fix whatever is going on. Whatever is happening. If I don't fix it for you, then that's only, I'm just as sad as you are. So let's do it together, sort of thing. And she's really, really good. She's not a talker, which is funny because I love talking, but she knows when I'm like, if there's something, she's like, okay, let's go through it. Let's figure out what needs doing. So I'd say it was her. She's worked so hard. She's worked, you know what, I'm not even going to say hard. She does work hard, but I say she also works smart. And I love people who work smart, because it's not every time like banging the door down. Sometimes there might be a way round the corner that you just haven't seen. Do you know what I mean? So
100%.
yeah, I would probably say her. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
She would love to hear.
Oh, bless. What would you say is one of your proudest moments? Like, looking back at all that you've achieved and also all that you're going to achieve. Like, what would you say is one of your most proudest moments that you can be like, do you know what? I cannot believe I did that, and I did do that, and I'm so proud.
Okay, this one's kind of easy just because the stress it gave me was intense. So I'm like so happy it's over and I'm done. Was qualifying as an accountant, basically. I had to work, and I study at the same time. So I'd go to work till 6 p.m. It was an hour and a half away from home, my office at the time. I'd get up, go to work, study on the train for an hour and a half, get to work, lunchtime I'd study for an hour at lunch, go back to work, and at 6 p.m. I'd have a class in Liverpool Street, do my class, didn't understand anything that was going on as per usual, go home thinking, what is this? God help me. And then I would get home super late, like 9:30, 10 sometimes, because I live so far out as well with my parents. And then I'd start the whole day again the next day, studying, kept going. This was for 2.5, almost 3 years I was doing this sort of thing. I had friends, but honestly, when people were like, let's go out, I'd be like, sorry, exam next week, or got to hand an essay in. Like, I even failed. There was this exam, I failed it twice, was it twice or 3 times, I think? And it was, when I say gut-wrenching, because the effort, because you can't do it, you can only do exams every 6 months, so you study for 6 months sort of thing. And like, I remember every time I failed, I'd be like, oh my gosh, I'd be like crying, because you get your results at like 1 a.m. I just find out at 1 a.m. I failed. I was so upset. I was like, another, like, I wasn't afraid of like failing, if like you get what I mean. I was so upset that I had to do it all over again.
Of course.
I'd get like 48, the pass mark is 50, and I'd get 48, and I'd be like,
so close.
Yeah.
So
and like the pain you felt in your chest. I'd be like, how is this happening? And so when I finally passed all of them, I was so happy, because it means I'm now like a qualified accountant. I can sign things off. Like at work, I got like what's it called? You get promoted once you're qualified as well. So I got promoted.
Nice.
They started giving me different tasks that were just even more accounting, or just more senior tasks, and like, not that you get taken seriously, but you get taken even more seriously, I guess. And it just felt so nice. All my family was so happy for me. I was just so happy to put my books in the dustbin and be done with them. But that, I say, was I always think sometimes our proudest moments are the times where you've sometimes even gone through failure. I think it helps you really appreciate your proud moments almost, because now I appreciate some of the things I learned. And I actually think it was probably right that the first time I failed, I think, okay, fine, I should have failed. I didn't know that sort of thing. Learn from your mistakes. But that's why I'd say it's my proudest, just because I failed a couple of times, but, had to get back on that horse for sure.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's amazing. Especially, I mean, obviously qualifying as an accountant, brilliant. But I especially like your point where you said, you were just happy to throw those books away, because can you imagine? Like, that is Literally amazing. Congratulations. And then your family, I'm sure they must have just been jumping for joy when you like
Yeah, my
finally
mum kept
qualified.
saying, she was like, we get at 1 a.m. we're all waiting. Like we used to all wait up to 1 a.m. for those results to come in. And like we all went through it. I was like, it's not just me alone here. Like I can't be suffering like this. So then wait up. My dad would be snoring in the corner somewhere. I'm like, please wake up. It's like a couple more minutes when it come in. It's like pass or fail. The last one, I was so happy. Like I remember like in the morning, my dad's like, we're having breakfast. We're going out for breakfast. I was like, just like pure like relief sort of thing. It was just really good.
Oh, that's amazing. So tell me about Nigeria. I want to know, like, have you been to Nigeria before? Did you grow up there, like for maybe the early years, or what's your relationship like with Nigeria?
Yeah, so I lived there for the first 8 or 9 years of my life, and then we moved over to the UK. So if the memories I have of Nigeria are very like, they're good memories. I wasn't living in Lagos. I was living in Ijebu-Ode, which is like not, it's just like village, very countryside, not like Lagos at all. And like I have good memories. Like the main thing I remember is my grandparents, honestly. And I think it's because obviously they never lived in the UK with me. So they are my biggest memory over there. And I just remember all the fun. Like I remember a lot of family just always being in my grandparents' house. Every Sunday we'd have Sunday lunch at their house. My grandpa would cook, which is very untraditional for, well, back then, Nigerian grandpa sort of thing. He was the one who would make Sunday lunch, him and my grandma, and then we just eat, right? I have good memories. And when I first moved to this country, I remember like people would, sometimes they just didn't get it. They'd be like, oh, it must be like living in huts and stuff. And I was like, actually, no, like it was so weird for me, like transitioning. I was like, why do I think that it's like that? Like it's so, we don't live in huts, but it's so nice
It's
there.
so
Like
backwards, isn't it?
it's yeah. I guess because the media doesn't show them what we see, maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know
that's
what the media was showing them, but it was just, I have great memories of it. I love visiting. So even when we moved here, my parents would still send us back. Every summer we had to go back and we'd spend 6 weeks, 3 with one grandparent, 3 with the other. So that was just like what it is. And it gave my parents some time to themselves probably, which is nice for them. Yeah, so I try to go back. Now that I'm older, I don't go back as often because those Christmas flight tickets are hella wild. So that's not up to me anymore. But maybe every other year, I'll have somebody get married or something will happen that I just need to go. So usually every other year I try to go and I love it. And something I have to say about Nigeria, I keep saying to everyone that I've been thinking about it. I think the economic climate they've gone through. So for the past, maybe I'd say 7 years or so, it's not been good in Nigeria. There's no jobs. You know, young people coming out of university. Well, honestly, young people don't even come out of university. They do university for like 6, 7 years because the lecturers strike and this happens, blah, blah, blah. But I actually think the upside to all this negativity and lack of money and economy being so bad is that it's forced Nigerians to be creative. It's so weird, but I think when you can't be let's say a banker or a lawyer or where there's just no jobs out there, you have to find a skill. You have to use your hands. You have to build something. You have to design something. You have to paint something to make money. So honestly, this is why I think Afrobeats, another reason why Afrobeats is doing fantastic, or the music industry in Nigeria is doing fantastically, is because people couldn't get jobs in, you know, the so-called normal stuff. So instead they're like, you know what, I've got a great voice. I'm going to sing, I'm going to make records. Fab. There's this girl I know, she does like paintings on t-shirts. She couldn't find a job, let's say, in something else. And she said, you know what, I'm going to change my side hustle painting and make money out of it. I really think the economy has struck this thing, like ignited this match where we have so many creatives coming out of like Nigeria now because they had to make money somehow, and they just use their hands as tools, if you get what I mean. But I just love it. I mean, I don't know what my skills are or my tools are right now, but I have like a great relationship. I feel so proud of the country, like that even through all the adversity, it's coming through the other side. Like something's coming out. It's just putting us on the map big time.
100%. I couldn't agree more. Nigeria is It's a country, it's a force to be reckoned with. It, you know, we need to protect Nigeria just because it is so creative. There's so many creatives coming out of Nigeria, whether it be the music industry or, you know, fashion or artists. I couldn't agree with you more. Nigeria is beautiful, and it's like a burst of creativity. It's just coming out of Nigeria. It's amazing, honestly. It is amazing.
Yeah.
I do want to go to Nigeria one day. I have to touch down. Definitely
Have you been when you were younger?
I haven't. So basically, I'm Ghanaian, but I know Nigeria. I know Nigeria is popping. I've got many Nigerian friends, and yeah, I know it's popping. So I do want to go there. At least spend I would say one Christmas in Nigeria. That would be nice, and then over to Ghana, see the family, do the rounds.
I really want to go to Ghana, but so we opened an office in Nigeria a while back, and it's funny though. I actually feel kind of like, I wish I knew this, but one of my managers, he said to me that he wishes he had actually opened the office in Ghana instead. And I was like,
really?
And he said, yeah, because I'm not being funny, but Ghana's infrastructure, I mean, wow, that, you know, the things I've heard,
and I'm a Ghanaian. I was so surprised. Really?
I mean, I think their systems are maybe a tiny bit just more straightforward. Even just things like the road and like maybe just setting things up. I think Nigeria is great, but I think if I was a business personally and I had to open a head office in Africa, they said, oh, please between Nigeria and Ghana. I know it sounds weird, and I probably shouldn't say this, but I think I'd probably go for Ghana if I'm being honest.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, I'm proud, but I'm still surprised. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, I mean, there's Ghana, you know, was the year of the return last year.
Yeah.
So it's popping. The economy, I think, is looking at quite sweet. So yeah, definitely consider Ghana. Definitely. But yeah, that's exciting. That's exciting. So do you have, this is going to be a bit of a, let me think about this, because it's going to be might be a bit of a random question. Okay. But do you have a happy place? And you can answer that however you want to answer that, but that is just the question that popped into my mind. Do you have a happy place?
Okay. Yeah, that's quite a weird one. It's really random. I think I have two, but I think I'll go for this one more, maybe. Just because sometimes I'll tell you the other one, and I'll tell you why I don't always go for it.
Okay, cool.
The first one is, but like for me, if I want to wind down, this is so weird. I honestly have to stop telling people this, but if I want to wind down and relax, it's a Sunday. This is my perfect day. It's a Sunday. The house is clean. I've eaten jollof rice and chicken. I have like a good film on, like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, like an old film, not something new. Like one of those old 90s type films. It's on, and my ironing board is out. I find ironing so relaxing and so like, I think maybe it's where I do my most thinking, because it's like you have something creased. Like I love doing like pillowcases. It's like creased up, you iron it and it's done. Like it's, you know, when something goes from like rough to smooth.
Yeah, it's nice.
That's me. Yeah, and I think it's like the gliding. It's like knowing that I need to get through this basket and then I'm done. It's like the methodology. I mean, maybe that's why I'm an accountant, because I think in lines and like squares and formulas, possibly. But that's it. Like the TV's on, I'm watching TV. I'm well fed, and I'm like just ironing. That's like Sunday night. That's my perfect like happy place where I'm like, okay, I'm chill. This is where I can now like do any creative thinking I have to do, because at that point in time, I'm just quite chilled. Is what I'd say that's probably like my happy place, I guess. It's a weird one, I know.
No, I like it. Ironing, I get what you mean. When you've got the ironing board in front of you and you're standing there and you're just, you know, going through each crease and you're taking it out and straightening it, and then you lift it up and it just looks so spotless. It looks so just like a work of art. And then again, as you're working through the basket, just getting through everything, and then it's all complete. It's like, sigh of relief.
It's like
It's really nice. No. And you mentioned, did you say you've got two? Is there another happy place that you can think of?
So my second one, this one is real icky because honestly, my friends will abuse me for this one. It's like the Victoria line when I'm reading, and like if I have like a long if I have to go to like the other side of Brixton or something, that's my like happy place. Like I have my book or my like just a good book, and like I can just get lost, and next thing I know, I'm at Victoria, whatever I need to be. That is honestly, I know it's icky because sometimes that Victoria line can just have like the wildest people on it, but if it's like peaceful, I'm okay on it. I'm like, okay, I've sat down, I'm like warmish, I have my book, I'm good. Like, just chill.
I'm not gonna lie to you, the Victoria line, out of all of the lines, it's probably the line I like the most. I sort of get what you mean. There's something about it. You can just sit down, find your seat, get your book out, maybe put your headphones in, and you'll be good. So no, I completely, I agree with that one. The Victoria line is nice. And it's quite fast. So, you know, you can read a few pages and before you know it, you're in Brixton. So it's quite a good line. And then I think the next question I want to ask is, what countries have you been to, first and foremost? And then the second question, the follow-up question to that would be, what country would you love to go to?
Oh, okay. I like this question. This is good. The first part's easy. So I've been to the United States. That's great. I've been to a couple of states there, which is really, really fun. And I've been with different people. I went when I was younger with my family, but also like a girl trip with my mum's sister. It was just me and her. Went to Vegas, but I wasn't even 21, so I couldn't drink. So that was fun. One of my best friends from uni, she's from Bahrain, so I went to see her in Bahrain. Absolutely fantastic, and I've never seen some. I didn't even know that was a country for a long time, so it was really good and great to see her and see her 101-year-old grandma as well, who was like teaching her to cook. I was like, it feels like they just made me feel like family. They were so warm, and it was almost like being back in Nigeria. Like they're just so warm and just like they're like, oh, just sit down, just take a plate, like don't be shy, just do what you want to do, like sort of thing. So that was good. Europe a lot, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, Portugal, me and my mum like going to together. We're like pretending we know how to drink dessert wine, but we just like sweet stuff, so that's always fun. I don't know where. I feel like that's it. Like not very far out. I feel like I'm missing something. I went to Cyprus last year. That was fun, but that was just chilled. I've never been to Greece. That's definitely on my list for sure. But yeah, I really like traveling. I always think God created this world for us, and there is no way I'm not going to go see all the parts He's created. And my motto in life is to go to the furthest places whilst I'm young, and I can handle like economy seats. And then the older I get, I'll come back closer to like the closer places to home, where my legs can't be on a 14, 15-hour flight or whatever. I mean, my grandmother, my dad's mum, when she was my age, I think maybe even younger actually, because I think she was married by now, but when she was like 22, I remember before she died, she told me that she went on this cruise. She was one of the first people from Nigeria to go to like Australia, and she was like, everyone was so racist to her and they were horrible to her, but she was like, she didn't care. I remember I don't know, I was probably complaining about them. She was like, listen, I went, and that was back, this is many, many years ago, like she would have been like 80 something now. She's like, I went in my 20s and I just thought, no, God created this world, I'm going to see it. And that's why she went. And I think if my grandmother made it there, like I'm at such a privileged point than where she was, there is no way I cannot make it there. Like I don't have an excuse sort of thing. Like,
Oh, it's nice. God, you've been to so many places and it's amazing. And I completely agree with your grandmother and your motto, like God created this world. We have to go and see it. We have to live life.
Yeah.
Honestly, one life, you've got to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think probably the last question that I can think of would be, actually, I think I'm going to split it and make it into two questions. So the first one is, what's the best piece of advice someone has ever given you, whether it be a family member, so maybe your mum, you know, who you equated to be your role model, or your grandma, or just a friend, or maybe even a passerby or someone who you've worked with at work? What's one great piece of advice that someone's given you that you would be happy to share with someone else?
Oh, this is a really hard question. I like it. I think it's really interesting. I love stuff like this. But it's hard. Oh my goodness. A good piece of advice they've given me.
It
Oh,
can
there's
be
this
anything.
one I'm thinking of. Yeah. I think there was this one time a friend of mine, he said something to me. He said, when you make decisions, what did he say? I always remember it, and I don't know why I remember it, because I don't know if I listened to him often about it, but it was something like, in this life, you just have to make, I think it was something along the lines, just like, you need to make the best. What did he say? I'm trying to replay the conversation in my head again.
Yeah.
I think he said you need to decide what makes you happy. That was it. I'm, like I said, I'm not very good at decision making. Like sometimes I overthink things. I'm like, should I do this? I make a list. I go over and over. And I think I was battling with something at the time. And he said, sometimes you just need to, right then and there, whatever, like disregard everything else that's going on around you. Like stop the whole whirlwind, stop it, and say, what is going to make me happy right now, right here, right now. And he said, and sometimes you make these decisions and you just stick to it. You do it and you stick to it and you live with whatever consequences. Because I think he said something like, because if you do that, you'll have less regret. Because even if you look back and say, oh, maybe it was a wrong decision, at the time, if you felt like it was right. I think he was just trying to say, whatever makes you happy right then and there, you just have to do it. You just have to act on what makes you happy, rather than thinking, will I offend this person? Is this going to be like, will they see me as this? I think he was just trying to say, just do what makes you like happy right now. And like it's a weird piece of advice, but it helped at the time. I think he was just trying to say, leave the future to the future. Like let the future, like tomorrow will deal with itself, basically.
Yeah, that's great. That is it. That just sums up life, to be honest with you, because again, we only have one life to live, and you do just have to do what makes you happy, because there's no point worrying about a future that you just can't predict. So yeah, I think that's an amazing piece of advice, and definitely something that I'm going to take on board. That is brilliant.
I'm sorry, I didn't articulate it so well, but the way they said it, I heard it. I don't know how. I think I've forgotten about it, and it just came up in my mind. So I was just like saying it how I remembered.
Yeah, it's the feeling. It was the feeling that it gave you when you heard it. It resonated with you. Awesome.
Definitely.
Well, are you on social media? Do you have Instagram, Twitter, a website? How can people get in touch with you or find out more about you?
So I'm on social media. If it's for anything career-wise, I definitely say like LinkedIn. Well, anywhere's fine actually. I'm not too fast. LinkedIn is a great place, I think, for like career accounting, like networking. I think it's always so easy to talk to people on there. When I was trying to help out with some of the BAME stuff at work, I remember I just saw this guy on LinkedIn doing stuff, and I just said to him, oh, hey, can we go for coffee? I like what you're doing. He's like, yeah. And like, people are just so open on LinkedIn. It's weird. So LinkedIn, I'm on, just my name, Ife Fakoya. And then my Instagram, I have Instagram. I'm like active, but some of my stuff's just like me cooking. So it's not great, but that's that. But also, I guess the podcast has a LinkedIn. The podcast has an Instagram, which is the Black Ladder Podcast. And that's a great way, like my Instagram is on the podcast Instagram as well. So that'd probably be a great way to find me. And if it's ever any questions about like accounting and stuff, I would love to answer that, because I've been through it. Even if it's exams and stuff, I've been through all of that. So I'd say those are the best places. My Facebook isn't very well kept up either, so I wouldn't bother with that one.
But like Facebook is now prehistoric, isn't it? It's like Facebook.
Yeah.
That. No, but that's amazing. Great. So LinkedIn and Instagram and your website.
Yeah, and the podcast. Yep, for sure.
Awesome. Well, it was lovely speaking with you, getting to know you and what it is that you do. I've definitely taken a lot from this conversation. So honestly, thank you for sharing your time with me. And
no,
hopefully,
thank you for interviewing me.
Thank you.
Made it easy.
Awesome. Well, hopefully I'll speak to you soon. But yes, thank you for being a part of the Yemzi brand platform.
Yay, no problem.